Today's show is sponsored by Mind Body Spirit, Westbourne, Dorset in the UK, the enlightened way to shop online and in their well-stocked store. Hello and welcome to the Light and Energy Show with me, Claire Wiles. I'm joined today by Garry Andrews. Hello Garry, welcome to the show. Garry is a massage therapist and a professional Tai Chi instructor. But Garry, you have other spiritual interests, don't you, that you're here to tell us about today?
I do, it's true.
Yes, and you're going to talk to us today, I believe, about candle magic.
I am, yes.
And I'm really interested in this. Where did all this start for you as a complementary therapist now? Did your interest in candle magic start as a child or in later life?
My interest in magic in general started at a young age. It did. I must have been 4 or 5.
Right, gosh.
Yeah, very young. I always dreamed of things that came true, even as a small child. And as I grew up, this increased to the point where it became more than just dreams. I could predict things. And of course that led me to look for why, once I realised that not everybody did it. Mm-hmm. And from there I was led into magic, the practice of magic, which actually led me into the complementary therapies in a sort of twist and turny path, if you like.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah.
And some people would sort of class candle magic as witchcraft. Would you class it as witchcraft?
I would class it as a tool, one of the tools of the witch, definitely. Mm-hmm. But candle magic is used by lots and lots of people. I think you could even include simple lighting a candle in the church as candle magic to a degree.
Absolutely.
You know, definitely.
And do you have other witchcraft practices that you do?
I am a pagan, most definitely, have been all my life.
Can you just explain to the viewers, in your view, what a pagan is?
There are many, many, many forms of paganism out there these days. When I became involved, it wasn't so popular. It was early 70s. So finding any sort of literature on witchcraft and paganism in the 70s was really hard, and if you did find any, it was really expensive. So it took me a long time to really get any true information about what I seemed to be doing quite naturally without any books. I've met people over the years that have also taught me bits and bobs, and my mother was very gifted in the mediumistic path, so there was never any blocks, if you like, in my route. She always encouraged me to look down any spiritual path, including, you know, your more mainstream religions, Christianity, Buddhism, and so on and so forth. I've looked at all of them and always come back to the pagan path. Am I a witch? Yes, I consider myself a witch. What style of witch? I don't consider myself a Wiccan, not really, which is the more modern neo-pagan type. I'm a follower of the goddess Hecate. She's my main influence spiritually, and of course I practice magic. I should say it's not like I'm whipping a spell out on every occasion, because I'm not. Magic is used for me as a very, very last resort. It's or something I would do alongside every other avenue of pursuit if I'm trying to create a new future for myself or for somebody else, for that matter. Yeah.
You also teach the tarot, reading tarot cards, don't you, as well, as a divination tool. And do you use that alongside the candle magic, or something?
You can do. It's not something we're going to do tonight, because it takes it into a more advanced area. Tonight we're just going to do something very, very simple that I think anybody is capable of, without a doubt. And lighting of candles, I mean, if you think about candlelight, it's very emotive in any case for people.
And it's interesting, you mentioned about your mother and the fact you had no blocks when you were growing up. So your alternative, what some people may call an alternative viewpoint, was there from a very early age, a bit probably like myself with my father. So you were open to things as a child instead of perhaps like many children may be told that things were just their imagination. You could realise that you had this intuition and develop that as time went on.
Yeah, and absolutely right.
Did you inherit some mediumship skills from your mother, do you think?
My talents don't run down that path. I think they could have. When I was 16, around about 16, I did go down the mediumistic path. I was dragged down it, if you like. But it wasn't for me. I'm not comfortable working in that way. So when I found the tarot, that was the way that I felt comfortable working. So my talents were funneled down using the tarot for divination rather than mediumistic abilities.
And do you find that people are more interested now in these current times in the pagan philosophy and spell making?
It's huge now, you know, so much. The pagan faiths and the pagan religions are just on the increase. They're growing and growing and growing, which is great. And the material that's out there now is vast. You know, every bookshop will have a section for New Age beliefs and for pagan and Wiccan beliefs, which I think is brilliant.
Me too. Really. Do you think that's because people are searching for something other than what we've been indoctrinated into?
I think that's absolutely the case.
Yeah.
And I also think it's the time now is the right time for the nature-based religions to come to the front again. Without a doubt, I think the world needs it. I think if the way the world is going, without the nature-based religions, the world could very well end quite quickly.
So going back to the candles, and you're going to do a demonstration for us shortly on how to do candle magic. This is something that's very simple and a lot of people can do very easily.
It is. Yeah. I mean, of course, I can't make guarantees for the outcomes. And the outcome of a spell is never quite what you expect in any case.
Is it a case of be careful what you ask for because you might just get it?
Absolutely, yes. Hence why be very sure before you work magic. Very sure. Having said that, I don't believe it's supernatural. It's very, very natural. In fact, I don't even like the word super. I hate the word supernatural. How can anything that exists be supernatural? If it exists in the universe, it's natural. We just haven't quite worked out why it's natural yet.
Yes, we don't have the skills to actually analyse it. Sometimes we just have to accept what is.
Exactly.
And know that it works. Fantastic. So you're going to set up now and show us some experiences of candle magic and show us how to create a spell. Wonderful. Marvellous. Okay, thanks, Garry. So Garry, we're here at this lovely altar that you've prepared for us now. Can I first say you haven't come out dressed as a wizard or anything? Is there anything particular that one should wear? No.
Kind of dressed as tramp sheep, I think. It's a matter of choice, Claire. Really. I mean, there are some people who feel the wearing of robes is very much a part of what they do, and it helps to get them into the right frame of mind for what they do. There are those that take all their clothes off, of course. Again, you know, personal choice. Me, I've never felt comfortable with either. So as long as the clothes are clean and I'm clean, I always would have a bath and be clean before I did any sort of magical work, and the clothes are clean, I'm happy and good to go. And you know, I might do a spell outside, you know, in a wood or up a hill, and I'm not going to be walking around up there naked, and I'm not going to be walking around up there in very flashy robes. It's just not me. I will be probably dressed pretty much like you see now, set with me old walking stick to get up the hills because I'm not as young as I was.
So can you just explain to us briefly what you've got on your altar?
I can, yes. The two back candles are just altar candles. They're there mainly for illumination. I mean, normally I tend to work at night. As a follower of the goddess Hecate, that's her time. I would tend to do any spell I was going to work at night. The central candle stick is the one that I will use to actually perform the spell with, and we've got a pink candle to do that. The two little brass cauldrons either side, they're both used for incense burning. We've got one going at the moment, and I'll sprinkle some incense on now, if you like. You can see what's going on there. So we just put a few drops in the middle of our charcoal, and very soon we'll get nice clouds of beautiful smelling smoke. I think a candle snuffer is kind of speak for itself. Light candles. We have a small silver pin with a little amber bead. I would use that for scratching any symbols that I wanted to scratch onto the candle, but you could use any sharp pointed object. Obviously I keep a particular thing for that. The spoon, the dumping incense on that does get quite hot. It's only just been lit, so for the moment it's not too bad. Do it with your fingers, but later we might need to use a spoon. And the spoon's interesting in itself because it's very old, and it was actually given to me by an old Magick worker who used it for everything from stirring herbal brews to dipping her insect, as you can see. And she gave it to me, and I've used it in the same way.
Fantastic.
So I will continue to use it in the same way till I'm no longer here. And
pass it on to somebody else, no doubt.
Yes, hopefully. We have a rattle. Now, I use perhaps not as traditional Wiccan tool in this country so much, but I like it. I like the sound of a rattle. For me, it's better than a drum. And I use that for calling the quarters. Again, I don't do that in quite the same way as other people. I tend to do it simply with the sound of the rattle, nothing else, no chants or anything. And I also like to light 4 candles just so that I know exactly where the points of the compass are. And I always have my altar orientated north. Not everybody does, but that's my way and the way I like it. I also have a bottle of oil which I made a few days back. It should be nice and ready, which is a Venetian anointing oil containing some rose oil. The base is olive oil. Some rose buds that I actually picked off a plant that I grew myself. A little bit of benzoin as well as a fixative, and benzoin is also Venetian, so that worked out quite nicely. And this I will be using to dress the candle before we use it for the spell. And then of course we come to the words of the spell. Those I tend not again to shout out loudly. I tend to whisper as I dress the candle. And a spell itself, the set of words that you use to make the spell, they don't have to be from ancient tombs, that were written in the 11th century or whatever, and all these great words and names of power. They don't have to be like that. As long as they come from you and they say what you are trying to achieve, that works as a spell. And style, again, is very personal. I mean, some people like the spell written in prose. Other people like it to read like poetry. I like simple rhyme, very simple rhyme. So each line at the end will rhyme for me, and I usually never make a spell more than 4 lines long.
So it's quite simple and easy for somebody to write.
Really easy.
Presumably if you went and actually researched spells and found old spells, those would have been relevant to the people writing those at the time and not so relevant to maybe the 21st century and the kind of spells that we might be wanting to create in our lives today. I think that's a fair point. I also think that if somebody feels very, very strong connection to ancient spells, there's no reason why they can't use them. Whatever feels comfortable for each person.
It has to be what's right for you. I strongly believe that anything you do has to be right for you. It shouldn't be what you've been told. For instance, for this, don't think that this is the way it has to be done. It isn't. If you don't like something or don't agree with something on this, change it. It
should always be with your own intuition and what feels comfortable.
Exactly. Definitely.
Great.
And there we are.
So the spell that you're going to create for us today, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, well, it's a Friday night, which is the day of Venus. A great day for working with the energies of love. being as I'm in a long-term relationship, I don't need a love spell. So I thought what I would do is work a little piece of magic to bring harmony and peace into the world.
Lovely. Perfect.
Or at least had a little contribution to it.
Yes, that sounds absolutely lovely.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do this evening for you.
Great. So I'm going to let you carry on and tell us as you're going round and doing each of the various parts of the spell as you feel appropriate for us to know.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you, Claire. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is light the main altar candles. I mean, normally, of course, it would be dark, so these would be my main forms of illumination. After I've lit the altar candles, the next stage would normally be for me to light the charcoal for the incense. We've already done that, as you can see, because it takes a while for the charcoal to get going. So we'll just sprinkle a little bit more onto the charcoal block. The next stage of the working would be to create some sort of sacred space in which to work. This isn't absolutely necessary. I mean, not everybody does this. I personally do. I feel it helps me to be focused and centered, and prepares me and my mind for the spell itself. So the way in which I do this is to first of all walk around the perimeter of my circle and light the 4 candles which are at the cardinal points, so north, south, east and west. Again, I don't make any great importance in this. I don't bring them to the altar candles or take the altar candles to them, as some people do. Simple box of matches, and I walk around and I light those cardinal point candles. I always like to start with the north candle, because, as I've said, for me, the north is the important direction, and the altar is always set up for me at the north. I then just simply walk clockwise around, lighting those candles. One at a time. And from there, as I've said, I like to use a rattle. Again, for me, I always start in the north. And I will rattle twice to the north. I do this because for me the north is the most important point. And it's a very simple process. I just raise my hands and rattle 1. I would move to the east, and again, 2. To the south. And then I return again to the north, which completes our circle, and I rattle again. Now what I'm actually doing there in my mind is creating a sphere. Not so much a circle around me as a sphere around me. So underneath me and above me, like I'm in the centre of a ball. Yeah? There are other ways to do this, and there are many, many, many books out there which you can research and find that will show you different ways of setting up a circle over the years, obviously, I've got it down to an art, pretty quick art, where I can just, rattle it up, as I call it. Okay, so from there, we will then move on to the actual work itself. Now, because we're going to be working and doing a spell using the energies of Venus, because it is a Friday, this is the day of Venus, we're going to be working on a spell for harmony and peace in the world. Now, I'm just simply adding my energies to that, of course. I'm not expecting the world to suddenly fall into absolute peace because of my lighting one candle. But if everybody did it, it would make a change, it would make a difference. Okay, so we have our candle, pink. Pink is the colour of, or one of the colours of the planet Venus, the other one being green. I've chosen to use the pink because for me pink is much more about love and harmony than the colour green. I believe on the website, Claire, there will be a PDF that people can download about candle colours and their associations.
That's correct.
That's
yes.
right. Okay. So we take our pink candle. Now the candle that you've gone and bought from the shop, you should clean. Physically, wash it, clean it under the tap, under running water, in the sea, in a stream, doesn't matter, as long as you clean it physically and clean it psychically. Now, to clean a candle psychically, again, is not a difficult thing. Place it between your two hands. Focus your intent that all negative influences leave the candle. Focus your own energies through the palms of your hand, and you'll feel your hands getting warm. With practice, this becomes very, very quick and easy. And just have the intention of cleaning the candle of all negative influences that it might have picked up. Okay. I had obviously already previously washed it, so I didn't have to go running away to the sea or anything. From there, you would then, or could then, inscribe upon the candle the intent, the thing you would like to happen. As I said earlier, I have a silver pin with a little amber bead, which I sometimes do this work with. On this occasion, it isn't necessary, but if it were, you could, we could, I suppose, scratch the symbol for Venus onto the candle. So you could make a circular scratch, like so, with a cross coming down. This is not great way down, but there we go, there we are. Let's just give you the idea. So we've put on there the symbol for Venus. I don't know if you can, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but it may. Okay, but you could just as easily scratch a name or write, whatever you wanted down the length of the candle or around the candle. Again, it's all a matter of choice. You could use symbolism, for instance, if we were working to, let's say, break an addiction. You could draw the image of a broken, if it was cigarettes, a broken cigarette onto the candle. You can use your own creative and imagination, your creativity and your imagination. Okay, from there it's now time to dress the candle. Now, the dressing of the candle is, I think, the most important part of the work. In here we have anointing oil. Now, I made this earlier, as I said in the earlier portion of the interview. It's a shame you haven't got smelly vision, because you'd love this. Very nice. But anyway, to anoint the candle, a little bit of oil onto your finger. Work from the centre to the top, and then from the centre to the bottom, not from the bottom to the top. Okay, this helps to magnetize the candle and imbue the candle with your energy and the energy that you're trying to pull in with the candle itself. I like to work all the way around the candle. Not everybody does, but I do. I mean, you may also see on this candle there's a few flecks of green because I also gave it a quick sprinkle with some rose leaves from the same plant as the rosebud that's in the oil, which is a lovely scented rose that sits on my balcony. So we work all the way around the candle. I would normally be gently whispering the spell at this time, so I will do that for you in a moment, but I just wanted to show you this done. So that's how our candle ends up looking. We're now going to look at spell creation and how I created the words for the spell that we're going to do this evening. So as I said in the earlier part of the interview, a spell doesn't have to be complex. It can be very, very simple, but it does want to, one, say what it is you're attempting to achieve, and two, hopefully pull on the influences, the energies you're attempting to use in your spell to achieve a successful outcome. So if we look at what I've done here, I've written a simple 4-line verse which simply goes, "Fire of Venus burning bright, I call for harmony upon this night. By colour, essence and sacred flame, when the candle dies, let the peace remain." So you see how simple that is. It says what I'm doing, fires of Venus, how I've done it, colour, essence or scent and sacred flame, and it asks that even when the candle is finished burning, the peace that we create of the energy that we've pulled in remains in the world. Okay, so what I would do is I would stroke the candle with the anointing oil and I would be whispering this spell all the time. Once you had completed that and you were happy that you had raised enough energy, you had called on enough energy, you could continue with meditation if you chose. If you were heavily into drumming or dance, you could drum and dance. It really has to be as long as you feel you have raised enough energy to create the spell's ultimate result. I'm a quieter sort of guy, so that's about as energetic as I ever get, really. I would then place the candle in the candle holder, take a new match. At this point I would light it from one of the altar candles, and I would light the spell candle. At this point, were I working at night, I would extinguish both my altar candles so that the only form of light in the room was the spell candle. I would then sit or stand in quiet contemplation of the spell that I have set in motion. I would carefully watch the flame of the candle. Is it lively? Is it flickering? Is it jumping high? For me, that's always a good sign. If it was dipping and going low, then I would tend to feel, ooh, perhaps this spell was not right, or perhaps it was not the right time to do this spell. But I'm quite happy with that flame. It's leaping around very happily there. I would then either let that candle burn completely out. Now that is a big candle, so that's going to take a few hours to burn through. If you have to leave a candle, my strong advice is either to work with very small 2-inch candles, which you can buy, or failing that, make sure you can put your spell candle somewhere safe, because the last thing you want to do is have an accident and burn the house down or whatever. I used to have a nice enamel bath, so any candles that were large like that and going to be left to burn completely out went in the bath with a little bit of water in the bottom once I'd completed the actual ritual. The other option you've got, which I've seen on many occasions, is I've seen people take a larger pin, pierce the entire length of the candle at a certain point, and ask for the spell to take effect when the flame hits the pin. I don't like it, but you know, it's an option. I would also say 1 candle, 1 spell. Don't half burn this candle for peace and then 6 months down the road use the stump to do a spell for something else. That to me is a big no-no. 1 candle, 1 spell. You could also burn this over several days. We could let it burn for an hour, snuff it out, relight it again tomorrow with the same prayer, prayer or spell, whichever way you want to look at it. Put it out after an hour, light it again, and go on and on right round till next Friday, and let it completely burn out on the following day of Venus. Yeah? So that's another option. But for now, that would be the end of the actual spell. Very simple. Anybody can do this. What I would now do would be shut down my area of sacred space. Now I do this, again, very simply. I'm not a great one for going round to each cardinal point and thanking entities for joining me in the circle, although I'm sure they do. And there is nothing wrong with that. I know many good friends of mine, other witches, who are very ritualistic in the way they work. For me, I simply, in my heart, in my head, thank my deities, Hecate particularly, thank any spiritual entity that has come to help me. Again, I do this from here inside, and then I simply raise my hands like I'm taking hold of the top of my circle, prepare myself, swing my hands down and clap. And for me, this immediately collapses my circle. And we're done.
Well, Garry, thank you. That was absolutely fascinating.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. And you've explained it so well, so easy to follow. I'm sure everybody that's watching this show can't wait to go out now and create their own altar and carry out some spells for themselves.
I would just say again about spell work, you know, it is a piece of sacred work. It is. It isn't a quick fix for your problems in life, and it really shouldn't be used for that. There can be consequences. Never do magic for negative purposes. Don't go out to harm people, because I guarantee you will pay for it. If not in this life, certainly in the next, and more than likely in this life. spells have a tendency to rebound pretty powerfully if you use these energies in the wrong way. And remember, you are calling on very natural energies. So anything that goes very strongly against nature, nature will bite back. So that's the warning side of it. Having said that, take it away, have fun with it. It should be fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun with my religion. My religion is a fun religion, I think. And it has its serious side, but it also has its enjoyment and its pleasures. So do enjoy candle magic, but be aware that it has a serious side. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you once again. That's absolutely brilliant.
My pleasure.
All the information that Gary's spoken about this evening will be on the show notes, and also a downloadable PDF of colours of candles that you can use to create certain spells. The show notes will be found on our website, www.thelightsandenergychannel.tv, and of course you'll also find us on iTunes and on Facebook. So, in Light and Energy, from me and Garry, thank you so much for joining us. Goodbye. Thank you to today's sponsors, Mind, Body, Spirit of Westbourne, Dorset, UK. Spiritual online shopping with worldwide delivery, including candles and pagan goods, angels, crystals and gemstones, meditation, spiritual music CDs and much more. Shop online at www.mindbodyspiritonline.co.uk, or if you're in the Bournemouth area, visit their fabulous centre with well-stocked shop, therapies, readings and workshops. Find out more at www.mindbodyspirit-uk.com and bring a little light and healing into your life.